Welcome to another Shipyard video and another day of tearing rotten wood out of the ship. But we think we have about come to the end of it. So we are over here on the port side of the ship getting ready to tear out the rotten spots that the Coast Guard spotted during their inspection. This little piece of wood here is just a guide to help start the cut.
It's not good.
What is it? Is that just...
I think it's mold.
Oh, mold around that bolt?
It grows underneath in the air cap that's left.
Ugh.
You put the plug in.
Yeah. Gross.
So we're not stopping there.
And that means we are going to be tearing out more. So the ship right here is very carefully removing pieces of wood to get to the fasteners that are holding this plank onto the ship. If they're lag bolts, we can grab a drill gun and just sort of back them out. But I don't think this plank is secured with lag bolts. Do you think that the nails are older?
No, I think this is pretty new.
Ah. Alright, so this is a hull spike, the one that we just pulled out of the ship. This gives you an idea how large they are. So these are the traditional way of affixing planks to the ship. Though we have mostly switched to lag bolts these days, but they were using hull nails for quite a long time. They're kind of fun, especially when they're in good shape like this one. They're not this one's not bent or rusty, which is great. Nice chunk of caulking.
Yeah, that's nice.
Oh yeah, you can see all the different layers. I see. Alright, so this is pretty cool. This is caulking or corking, depending on where you're from. And this is the material that is pounded in between the seams of the ship to make it watertight. So we use 3 threads or layers on this ship. The first layer, the white one at the bottom, is cotton. And then these 2 that I'm ripping apart right now are oakum, which is a hemp fiber that is soaked in pine tar. So pounding this stuff between the planks of the ship makes a watertight seam. Alright, so this is a plank that still has its corking there intact. It does not go all the way into the boat. It just is pounded in from the outside and should not be seen from the inside of the boat. You can see the 3 threads there, the cotton and 2 oakums. And then on the outside is concrete. We put some cement in there to help fill the final gap so that the hull is smooth and does not have deep furrows in it. Look at that leg bolt.
Yeah.
Gross.
I wonder if it wasn't cotton. Sometimes they wrap the heads.
Oh.
Cotton.
You don't think it's just fungus?
Well, it could be both. You know, the cotton gave the fungus something to grow on.
That's true. Alright, so the hole in the hull of the port side of the ship is steadily growing, which is not great, though fortunately extending the work a little bit should not extend our timeline here in the shipyard. But you can see how far forward this is going to extend up until that blue line that's been drawn right there. I thought it was going to come out intact. Yes.
Smell the difference?
Oh, this isn't fir, is it?
Yellow cedar.
Yellow cedar. Oh. Wow, yeah, it does smell a lot different than Douglas fir.
Very fun.
Yes. Alright, now that the aft port side of the ship has been opened up, we can get a better idea of how she is built. See, we've taken some of the hull planks off here. So these in here are the ship's ribs, and the ribs are made up of individual pieces called futtocks. We will be replacing a couple of futtocks in here on this side. Fortunately not the whole rib, just sections of it. You can see the hull planks here were held on with nails or ship spikes. This is an older way of doing it. We usually use leg bolts now because they're significantly easier to pull out. These take quite a bit, take that big slide hammer to pull out of the ribs. So the ribs here are pretty beefy and they're spaced pretty close together. This robustness is part of what has contributed to the Virginia 5's longevity. Her builder was actually nicknamed Matt Big Timber Anderson because he kept requesting larger pieces of wood while constructing the ship. So we've got our hull here, which is 2.5 inches. And then you'll see on the inside another layer. This is not a second hull. This is actually what's called a ceiling. It does not go all the way up or all the way down, so it's not watertight. It's more for structural integrity. Because the ceiling planks here do not come in contact with water, they don't need to be replaced very often. Oh, come on, focus, focus. There we go. So, a lot of the planks on the ceiling are quite old. These ones are newer, but some of the ones down here are pretty old. Some of them might even be original, though after 103 years, it can be a little difficult to tell what's original and what is just old. But yeah, we're gonna make some new futtocks for the ship. And then we will be getting the new hull planks on. So that should be exciting. But it's not all destruction today. We are also going to be back over on the starboard side and installing a Dutchman. So a Dutchman is a small piece that is going to be inserted into a plank as opposed to removing the entire plank. This piece of wood has a little rotten spot that does not go all the way through the plank, and there's really no reason to remove the whole plank. We can just excise this one rotten spot right there and then install a new piece. So Chris is very carefully tracing out where he's going to cut. A nice smooth cut has been created, and then this section is carefully measured and is used to cut a new piece, which can then be installed. So this is the new piece that's going in. Same kind of wood, Douglas fir. So this being a ship, nothing is really straight lines, so it's important to make sure that the end pieces of this piece of wood will very perfectly match into the space that has been cut out for it. We do like to see a perfect fit. The piece of wood is not going to stay in there today, so it does have to have a corking bevel put into it so that this can be corked to make sure it's watertight. But it looks like it is the perfect size for this gap, and that's great. The other work being done is out on the fantail in the back of the ship. So the rot out there is also being removed. This is going to be a similar sort of Dutchman situation. This piece of wood being chiseled right here is about 7 inches thick. Replacing the entire thing would necessitate disassembling the entire back end of the ship, which we do not have time for this haul out. So instead, the top few inches will be removed and inserts placed in, and that'll hold until we have the time and funding to replace the entire thing during one of our next haul outs. So, very carefully chiseling out the rotten spots, and then a new piece will be placed in.
Oh boy.
Once again, a nice smooth cut has been finished, or is being finished, once the bottom gets nice and smooth and leveled. And then this insert is going to be in at least 2 pieces because it's kind of a funny shape. Once the hole is completed, it is painted with boat sauce. Boat sauce here, this is a mixture of pine tar, turpentine, and linseed oil. and it inhibits fungal growth in the wood and helps seal it.
Smells amazing.
And then going to add a little extra sealant to this part because this is not going to be corked. So this just improves the water tightness of the seam that we are creating back here. Put in.
Well, I had a sledgehammer. Here we go.
The new piece is in and fitted into place. This little excess piece will be cut off so that we can then insert another piece next to it into this other gap here. So we are hopefully about done with the demolition of the ship. And in the next video, we will watch more new wood go in, which is always exciting to see. So tune in next time.